Let me ask you a question. What is the most underused mechanic in any of the Soulsborne games? You're probably thinking something minor like enfeeblement from Sekiro. No, I'm talking about what is the most underused major mechanic in any of the Soulsborne games. Well, to answer this, let me paint you a picture. You're walking through the spooky alleyways of central Yharnam. You take a left and it's all dark and desolate. There's also this guy with a walking cane. Nothing out of the ordinary. Are you attacking the disabled? 10 hours of gameplay later and you're back with some unfinished business. Once again, the streets of London, Yharnam, are dark and gloomy. Again, you take a left. God knows where Cane Man went. Then you hear a weird noise. Turn right. Is that a fucking amygdala? Turns out that thing has been there the whole time and you were just too stupid to see her. You lacked insight. You weren't schizophrenic enough. According to Mr. Soulslore Vadi himself, insight is having, am I reading this right? Eyes in your head. Absolute cinema. You know those madman's knowledges you pick up and never use? Well, their brains are exploding with insight from all of the Great One's fuckery. All of that time spent interacting with Lovecraftian beings throughout your playthrough makes this little number to the top left of your screen go up. But what does it actually do? It acts like a currency that lets you buy overpriced tariffed bloodstone chunks. What the fuck are these prices? It's also the currency to summon and PvP other players. But who does that in Bloodborne anyways? Am I right? Without insight, you literally can't interact with the doll that freaky ass Gurman made, so no levels for you. And I guess you could also call having high insight hard mode, since it reduces frenzy resistance heavily as you're starting to go mad with knowledge, even though there's like 3 winter lanterns in the whole game. It also reduces beast blood pellet buildup since you're going further and further from, well, beast. And it actually has a big gameplay effect on one singular boss, the Witches of Hemwick. They actually get to keep their sleep paralysis demon bodyguards if you have a bit of insight, making them an actual boss fight and not you wailing on someone's grandma. First you beat up the disabled and now the elderly. What's wrong with you? According to this commenter, if you have 50 insight, the message guys in Cathedral Ward will open the gate. Now, I gotta take your word on this because I can't find any instances of this happening. But can we address the elephant in the room? What type of sicko has 50 insight before the second main area of the game? Cool detail though. Finally, insight lets you see the Amydalas. And I guess there's a few visual and minor differences throughout levels. And like one enemy gets an extra move. That's it. That's all insight does. It's almost as underused as the subscribe button. Holy fuck, that was clean. Does anyone feel like that's a bit lacking? Like, to get the secret ending of Bloodborne, you have to consume umbilical cords in order to, in lore, increase your insight enough to be able to resist and defeat Moon Cthulhu. And yet the only actual gameplay impact of insight is a shop, enabling multiplayer, and a few moments where you go, wow, that's different, and 2 niche status effect interactions. It's just really the humanities mechanic before Bloodborne. But I feel like of all the games FromSoft has made, Bloodborne had the potential to push this mechanic further. Imagine if insight was a lot more than that. Imagine if insight had a greater impact on the world around you. Imagine instead of some enemies having one singular extra attack, they were different. Beast enemies getting more aggressive, humanoid enemies being more cautious. Your character's literally called the Hunter and is constantly absorbing knowledge. So imagine as your insight scales higher, the weak points of certain bosses even start to glow. Imagine as you start to begin the world around you, you start uncovering new paths or shortcuts or whole side areas from your insight. When you're fighting the Eldritch Horrors, what if your insight made them behave differently? At high insight, what if Ebrietas did an extra attack? Or what if she's tried doing more grab attacks to try to absorb the eyes in your skull? Imagine if insight was spent on a lot more than PvP and that stupid shop. Like every time you use insight to uncover a secret, you lose, I don't know, 10 or 5. Then it'd be another valuable resource that you'd have to track. What if, to boost the Eldritch Horrors of Bloodborne, insight started making you seeing even more? Bosses and enemies started looking very differently. What if there are more enemies in the later game with a frenzy gimmick that you only actually run into when you have high insight? So if you're an insight hoarder, well, the game starts to feel real dangerous. I'm purely spitballing right now, but there's literally a million things that this sick mechanic could be used for. The possibilities are literally endless. Fuck it. Imagine if all of the information you're gathering and those eyes in your skull or whatever give you a Pokédex. No, that's deviating too much. But you get my point. Insight is criminally underused. And if Sony and FromSoft ever decide to make a sequel to Bloodborne, which they won't, it's a convenient mechanic to really build off of right there. So am I wrong for calling insight a wasted mechanic or whatever in the current title? Sort of. Actually, not really. But am I wrong for saying that there was a whole lot more cool shit that they could have done with it? No. The whole premise of the video came from me grinding challenge dungeons in Bloodborne to platinum it and realizing, wait a second, I barely used the whole insight mechanic this whole playthrough. Outside of the stupid bells and the nightmares, I've never done any PvP or co-op in Bloodborne. So insight really did matter to me. Do you ever complain about something and realize it's not really that deep? Well, that's kind of the brand of my channel, so if you want more of that, it's right here.